Welcome to my backyard. It's a beautiful day. I have been trying to cultivate a garden in this backyard from the ground up. So, literally trying to work on soil health back here. And it's a process. I have been drawing a lot of connections to my newer hobby, which has been becoming a DM. So, I've played Dungeons and Dragons for a few years before, but I have never been a dungeon master until here recently. I was searching for a group and I couldn't really find the right fit for me. I had friends who were interested, and one day it just clicked for me that, you know what, this is something that is really special and important to me, and I should just step up to the plate and be our DM. So it's been quite the challenge, and I've had a lot of good resources, especially on YouTube. Honestly, just looking at what other groups are doing to prepare and how they're bonding has been incredibly helpful. But I will say, I hit the jackpot with my party, and I love all of them dearly. So I couldn't have made a better decision in terms of stepping into this role and hoping for the best, because the best is happening. We're on our second chapter, and we've decided to split this one up into two chapters because our first session had 3 players, 4 including myself, and now we have included a 5th. So it feels really rounded out now with a 5th player, but it was a lot of integration in that first session with the new players. What I thought would maybe take 10 minutes ended up taking an hour, maybe even 2 hours. That's a reflection of me as being just new to this role and not having a clear understanding of what to expect in terms of time. We're moving through the 17 one-shots of Candlekeep Mysteries, which I picked up from the local game store because I wasn't sure even how to build a world for us to play. And I really felt like I needed some structure. And I'm happy that I did that. And as soon as I started digging into it, I realized that there was no way I could do this without building it into our own world. I can't help but notice how much inspiration I have been drawing from the seasons and nature, and how much time I spend in my yard with my dog Lupin. Every morning we get up and go outside and just feel the sun on our face, the earth beneath our feet, and get acclimated to the day and to the weather. I live by Calvin and Hobbes' philosophy that treasure is everywhere. If you lead with an open and curious heart for all things, including the discarded, there really is treasure everywhere. I try to employ this philosophy with my D&D players by reusing elements from previous gameplay when I can. And of course, we're only going into our 3rd session, so this is new concept, but it's already helping me weave together a world that feels familiar. My hope is that by creating heirloom moments, that my players feel bonded to their characters and to each other. By revisiting an experience or an item, it also gives us this spiralic effect, that familiar feeling that we've been here before, only this time we're just a little bit different. When I look out into the world, I'm inspired by the recognition that everything at one time had a purpose, and so many things can be given a second chance. Like this super cute bag from a liquor store from my last camping trip that is going to go up on the wall. Or this antique Michelob bottle that I found in the woods on the same camping trip that clearly says, "Please don't litter," right on the glass. Yet somehow it found its way into the woods and stayed there for however many years anyway. But I brought it home, I cleaned it up, and now it's a beautiful vase. When I look around online at other groups that are putting any of their content from their sessions out online, I see that most people have pretty much solidified their characters before the first session. And I will say that because I'm a new DM, and all of my players are new to the game. We are more gelatinous in that we are still having those conversations come up as we learn the mechanics together and learn what might be important to a character build. One thing that is really important to me is to allow my characters the freedom of imagination and expression. So I had one player come to me and ask if she could be a fairy. And because the fairy is not an option in my player's handbook, I believe they are part of a certain subset game, and I was unfamiliar with them. So I told her I would do a little research and I'd get back to her. And honestly, I was very hesitant to allow her this freedom. Hello. Hi. Hi, Lupin. But when I looked into it, it just felt so fun. And I wanted her to be able to have that excitement around building her character and creating that bond with this avatar that she's going to be playing for hopefully a long time. For me, thinking about what she looks like, I again look to nature and think about the lace wing that I found trapped inside our kitchen and was trying to get out the kitchen window. And I cupped her and brought her outside and just could not help but marvel at her wings. So it just made me think of that moment. Like, if I were to choose wings for myself, what would they look like? Would I have butterfly wings? Would I have bee wings? You get the idea. I'm excited to see what she comes up with. And I think all of my players are really excited about the cosplay aspect. And that just adds a whole new layer of fun with friends and playing dress up and just being playful. We've definitely had obstacles. I allowed one of my players to die dead. It was really hard to navigate, preparing your party to be well-rounded and be a good match for the monsters that they'll encounter. I'm sure any DM will agree that that is a difficult thing to juggle. Maybe not when you have the experience under your belt, but I don't. So I did almost immediately allow a player to die. I allowed her to be revived. I think it's so early in our game that it's okay to just kind of iron out these kinks and move on. So our first session as a full team of our 5 total members was so fun and did have a few hiccups. Going into our next session, which will be the second half of Chapter 2, Digressions and Alliances, I have blocked out an hour or two for us to go over mechanics, since all of my members are new and now we've gotten a chance to just sort of play through and push through. We can dig into those mechanics and rules a little bit more and get grounded and kind of work back from fleshing out our characters back into, okay, this is why we build a character this way, because it's going to play out in this fashion when we're in gameplay. And so I think that as we do this dance between the role play and the mechanics, it will start to integrate and come together. I'm really okay with these kinks and hiccups. It's like being fully present in nature and the seasons and all of its ripe and rotting and cyclical, constant change. I'm so honored to be a part of this party's adventures.